Hi, this is Tim at the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. My email is still tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's still in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for inquiring about this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a watch that came out in 2018, and it may very well have been the best watch of the year. Easily the most underrated, possibly of the last decade. This is the Lange Sohne Saxonia Thin Copper Blue. Now, there's a certain blue chronometer made in Geneva that people go nuts to acquire and wait years for the privilege to purchase. Let me just tell you, I know that watch well. This one's better. It's beautiful, 39 millimeters in diameter by 6.5 millimeters thick by 45.1 millimeters from lug to lug with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Not only is it beautiful, it is perfectly proportioned. A big part of its appeal, not just that charismatic dial, but just how flat it sits on the wrist, how compact it is across the wrist. You could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. So though it's a 39, it would work for him or for her. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, so you get a good sense of the size. Down the barrel one more time, now over the top. The strap, as you can see, features silver threading, large rectangular scale alligator leather gloss in dark blue. We have folded edge, and then on the bottom you can see small round scale alligator. This is a Lange factory strap, so Lange is following in the footsteps of other premier brands these days, using alligator leather on both sides of the strap to impart additional durability. It costs more, but it lasts longer, and on a watch like this, easily worth it. I've sung the praises of Lange's buckle many times, so if you've seen my reviews in that regard, just skip ahead. But I want to talk about it if you're seeing this for the first time. The Lange pin buckle is very, very smart in its design. First, you can see that the bridge is elevated over the prongs at the side. So when the strap goes into the buckle, it sits flush inside it on the wrist rather than stacking up. There's also a retaining bar, so if you're like me and you have a small wrist and you're going to use the smallest hole or even punch a smaller one, the strap, on a tightly strapped tiny wrist, well, the strap can get pinned on the pin, making it difficult to extricate. So this little restraining bar prevents the strap from sliding all the way to the base of the pin, so you can more easily release it from a small wrist. It's a characteristic Lange case. Once upon a time, Günter Blümlein, German watch executive who is one of the refounding fathers of Lange in 1990, he wanted a unique case shape, so he specified these stepped lugs so they stand out from the case band. It's a nod to the pocket watch era of East German watchmaking when a Lange Sohne was in its prior heyday. Now today, still made in Glashütte in East Germany, the watch has that nod to the pocket watch era, but a beautiful wristwatch aesthetic as the lugs feature a soft bevel on their flanks. They are polished, there's satination in the case band. The bezel is domed, but it has a little bit of a vertical lip, so it's more complex than it appears at first glance. We have a Lange branded crown. All of this is gray gold, by the way, which is a type of premium white gold, 18 karat, that never has to be plated with rhodium, and if you scratch it, it is the same color underneath. Pre-owned watch, so full disclosure, there are some marks of wear on this watch, but we are not going to refinish it. It's only factory once, and we preserve the factory fabric whenever possible. The dial is simple, 2 hands. We have 12 indices. Well, we have 13 indices because the one up at the top of the dial is doubled. A lovely vaulted Lange script and then alpha hands on top of a polished cannon pinion. It is beautiful. All white gold dial furniture, so it won't tarnish or oxidize over time, but it is the dial, which is laid down on precious metal, that defines this watch. So the dial base is sterling silver, on top of which a vitreous or glass-based paint is applied to create this aventurine glass. So it's a translucent, richly dark blue glass-based paint, and the translucent property of it allows the metallic flakes that are inserted to create a star-like effect, a dazzle reminiscent of the cosmos as you stare into the night sky. So not only does it have color and gloss and gleam, but it has depth. Turn it all over, and we get what Lange is known for doing. Beautiful movement finishing, but this is one of the few Lange watches where you'd actually rather wear it with the dial facing up because the dial steals the show, and it takes many firings at 800 degrees centigrade, up to 20 firings, to create this dial. So there's a high rejection rate, and it is very much a craft art. The movement, which you can see is caliber L0931, You know exactly what that means. It means work on the movement started in 2009. It was the third movement that Lange worked on that year. And then this is revision 1. So that's how you decode a Lange movement reference. Now the movement is large for the case shape, so it's not a big movement overall, but it nicely fills the 39. And then we have 3 days of power reserve by manual wind, a 3 hertz beat rate. It's attracted to the traditions Lange set in the 90s, sort of reestablishing what East German watch finish would look like. And all of these standards are present and correct here. I'll mention one last statistic, which is that it pivots on 21 joules, and that 5-position adjustment is a high horology and chronometer standard that you see on the best watches. But back to the finishing. Black polished swan's neck fine adjustment mechanism, black polished steel cap to the escape wheel. We have both black polished mirrored screws and fired screws that are kiln cooked to take on that blue hue. We have German silver bridges and plates, nickel, copper, and zinc, a traditional pocket watch making material that harks back to the 19th and early 20th century tradition of the original Lange Sohne. The copper in the German silver gives it that golden hue. We have solarization on both the crown and the ratchet wheels with black polish on the click spring and the click. You can see that the edges of the bridges are beveled to a mirrored shine, beautiful anglage. What you may not be able to see quite as well is that the teeth of the ratchet wheel and the crown wheel have been micro beveled across their surface, outboard of the solarization on the wheels. We have stripes across the bridges, and then we have perlage or engine turning on the base plate with that freehand engraving done by eye, hand, and burin on the balance cock. A very, very special watch and 30 meters water resistant. If you love this timepiece, reach out to me. 3 days of power reserve, 39 millimeters, 6.5 millimeters thick, aventurine glass dial. Do I need to say more? I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing.